Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 25 of Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm your host, Jack Ivano, here with my co-host, Frank Aranio, and we'll discuss about the new bats that are circulating around MLB, and we'll also tie us in to talk a little bit about the Mets, the Yankees, Aranio's Boston Red Sox, just everything about the MLB right now as it gets going. We will discuss especially about the Final Four and how Duke especially imploded at the end, and we'll discuss at the end about how the Knicks did pretty well without their superstar Jalen Brunson out with a sprained ankle, and how he's going to come back tonight and what to expect about that. Now, the first question I kind of want to ask to tie us into the Duke stuff is: did Duke's struggles in the Final Four come down to coaching decisions, player execution, or just pressure of the moment?
Well, there was a lack of execution down the stretch. I don't know how much it was coaching. I mean, maybe you want to get into that, Jack, and break that part of it down. But I mean, I think it's obvious there was a lack of execution. I mean, we have a 14-point lead with how much time left? Was it 8 minutes left? They were up 14
Yeah,
or 9 minutes left. And then they were up 9 points with 3 minutes to go. And, I think pressure the moment too. I mean, I would think that's a factor too. I don't, look, I mean, anytime you lose like that, um,
I mean the pressure is huge. I mean it's Final Four. I think that's always gonna have to go into it. Of course, I mean these are college kids' Final Four, but you gotta find a way to figure out to win that game. If you're up by that time, I even think even like up like 8 to 9 points with like a minute left or seven, like you gotta figure out how to win that game.
yeah, I mean, a situation like that, which it was epic and, it was a big time comeback, big time collapse. I mean, you could debate, was it more of a comeback or a collapse? Um, anytime you have a situation like that where a team, let's just say a team comes back like that, and in that situation, again, how epic that was, how dramatic that was, it's going to be a combination of lack of execution. It's going to be, the pressure factor. I mean, there's definitely a pressure factor there, and then coaching comes in
Yes.
it too. So for the coaching aspect, again, there's something specific that you would point out that you think John Shire did wrong that hurt Duke down the stretch in that game.
I don't know. It's just kind of. I mean, I guess it kind of goes like having your players prepared. I wasn't really like going crazy on the coaching. I was more of a fan. Like we're not gonna really look at the coaching. Like we're gonna watch the game on the court and how they imploded. But I think having the players ready, because Kevin Sampson and his squad looked like they were gonna compete to the final buzzer, and it felt like Duke was really like content, and give credit to Kelvin Sampson's squad and how they just kept it going on their. They didn't give up, and that's I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, you could easily just give up, be like, "Oh, Duke's the better team. They have all these players, all these 5 stars. Let's just bow down to them." No, they didn't. They have a very good, talented team, and they have a very good defense, and they also don't give up. And they really. I mean, the biggest thing to say is they really just flipped the switch immediately. They flipped the script of the game. It was like Duke having to inbound the ball to get fouled to now Houston's gonna have to inbound the ball to get fouled. They kind of flipped the switch right there. And Kelvin Sampson's squad did a great job of doing that. I think that's also could be why people could argue why it was just Houston just you're not giving up in that game.
Hey, I mean, Houston is very resilient. They're a very tough team. They're an experienced team. They're an older team. But I mean, I thought that game was over. It's like, and the disappointment of it too. Like, this is the least I've been into the tournament. I'm down on the tournament. I'm down on the NCAA. I'm down on college sports. Like we've talked about it. So it's tough to get into it. But at least now there's something that happened. Like, all right, this is worth talking about. And you had this epic comeback. If you want to call it a collapse, I mean, you could debate that. But it definitely, Houston had a role to play in it. Duke had a role to play in it. But finally, there's something. And I got to admit, like, just personally, I can't stand Duke. I think a lot of people can't stand Duke. So the fact that they lost and the way they lost is a huge story. Um, so look, I mean, Houston's a tough team. They're tough. They're experienced. Kelvin Sampson's a great coach. I'd love to see Houston win the championship because I'd love to see him get a championship. I think he's very deserving. excellent college basketball coach. He's done an amazing job with Houston. I mean, they've been elite for a long time now. They went to the Final Four 4 years ago, right? I think 4 years ago they lost to Baylor. So they've been knocking on the
Yeah,
door.
I
They
think that makes
lost to
yeah.
Duke last year in the Sweet 16, so they get Duke back this year. And again, just in this incredible fashion, historic game, a game that'll be remembered for a long, long time. So finally, there's something with this tournament where it's like, oh, you'll really remember this, and you will definitely remember this game, and definitely remember, what do you want to say, the final 8 or 9 minutes, but really specifically the final 3 minutes, and then, just the way that unfolded. It's incredible. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, Duke up 14. It's like, they're going to the final. They'll probably win. Duke will win it all. It's just the super teams and the super conferences, and the whole thing's changed, which it still has. I don't think anything's changed in that regard, but at least now there's something that it's like, man, that was epic. That was historic.
Yeah, it was big time, and I think
I keep looking up because I'm looking at the Red Sox game, so that's why.
yeah, it was big time, historic, and I think I think it kind of showed that you said the Duke was kind of not unbeatable, and I thought they were unbeatable with the field they're playing against. I didn't think they were unbeatable. Like no team in the world could beat them. I think on the field, I think they were just a team that talent for talent. I don't think anybody can match up with them. But you kind of make a point that they could be beaten. I think Oregon was a team they could have lost to. But again, I think they had
I
enough.
thought they were pretty much unbeatable before the Final Four. They
Yeah,
weren't losing in the East region, and they breezed through the East region, but they were beatable once the Final Four came. I mean, they were the favorite with their talent and especially Cooper Flagg, but they weren't unbeatable. I'm not surprised they lost. It's the way they lost. If they had lost a game where it was closer throughout, it's like, okay, you lost. You just got bested. But it's the way they lost that is so shocking.
yeah, or maybe just Houston, just like their defense overhanded them. It was just something where Duke just couldn't get going offensively, and the defense of the Houston Cougars really just locked them down. But I think that the way they lost could be a warning sign to the way you know to the team. I think that the way they lost was kind of confusing for them.
Well, it's devastating. I mean, I mean, today, I mean, there's just like, definitely like what happened. I mean, just devastated their team, their coaches, everybody involved, the fans. I mean, to lose like that, I mean, they should have been playing the national championship game. I mean, they're up 14 points with, again, I forget if it was 8 minutes or 9 minutes, and there's 9 points with 3 to go. I mean, to lose like that, you're sitting back stunned today. Like, what the heck happened? How did we not close that out? So it's a major story. So that's finally this tournament has a major story. There's
Or a
some other
story that's
stories.
worth talking about. A
Yeah,
story
like
that's
the other
worth.
things that people were talking about. It's like I feel like they were being pumped up by people who want to say, "Oh no, the tournament hasn't changed and things are still great and all this." And I mean, look, if you like really talented teams playing each other, I mean, look, I get the appeal of that, but it's the way it comes about. It's like you have these Final Four teams, and one of my friends told me that Ken Palm, one of those metrics things, Ken Palm, which I look at Ken Palm during the course of the season to see where the teams are ranked. I don't take it as gold, but all right, I'm not like totally against this stuff. But Ken Palm says the teams in this year's Final Four were all in the top 7 teams of college basketball teams all time. Top 7 all time college basketball teams. Like, first of all, how do you measure that? I mean, like that's the whole ridiculousness of it to me. Like it's the the data and the analytics and the algorithms. Like to me, you can concoct that stuff and put it together and manipulate it however you want to feed a narrative. So I just like that kind of stuff. It's like to me, it's a just shut down discussion. It's like, oh well, the data says it, so you can't question it. Well, what data? Who's putting the data in and how are they putting it in and what's the algorithm and all this stuff. So it's like, all right, if let's say these are great teams. All right, fine. Like you're seeing 4 great teams play in the Final Four, and it was a very good Final Four. Okay. But what does it mean for the rest of college basketball? What does it mean for the rest of the tournament? Like, what did it take to bring about this situation? With now, all the top players getting the money from the big schools in the big conferences, and it's hurting the smaller schools and the smaller conferences. So if that's what you want, fine. You'll have these super teams and you'll have great Final Fours, but what else are you going to have? So it's, it comes at a cost. But that's a different discussion than talking about the Houston Duke game last night. But my overall point is, okay, the result of what you have in college sports now is that you had a very good Final Four. So I'll give that, but it's certainly at a cost.
Well,
and you look at Houston, like what's the average age of these guys at Houston? Like, they're not really a college basketball team in the traditional sense. You have teams like this where they're just a bunch of older guys. You had guys 5 years because of COVID. Guys in high school reclassing, so they're older when they get to college. It's like you have grown men on these teams. They're not traditional college basketball teams. So you want to talk about how great they are, but it's like you have 23, 24, even 25-year-old guys playing. So it's not the same thing.
Save that stuff for the pros. That's what I'm saying. And when you talk about that just reminds me of, you got to save that stuff. I know you want to see the great players in college basketball. That's great. You have the Koopa Flash. You have, even like players for Houston and their guards. But you save that stuff for the professional league. I just feel like with all these like great teams, you save that stuff for the professional league, because those, and with these like older guys, like you look at the NBA as something of, we want to see all these great. We want to see the Shays, the LeBrons, the Currys. You see that, but it's like,
well, you hear
where's the excitement of the great players in college, other than the 19-year-old that's going in the NBA next season? Like, where's the excitement?
Yeah, and you have people who defend what's going on now in college sports, and it's guys are staying now because of the money that they can make in college, which is true. But how is this coming about? It's coming about because of the money they're able to make, which means they're going to the bigger schools in the bigger conferences. The smaller schools and the smaller conferences are being hurt. So it's not college basketball anymore. I mean, if it were traditional college basketball, what I would say is real college basketball. This is not college basketball anymore. So you have a situation where you fundamentally changed what it is. So it's like, oh, well, guys are staying because they're making money, so therefore the quality of the basketball is better. Okay, maybe the quality is better, and you saw it in the Final Four, but it's not college basketball. So you've done away with what the sport is supposed to be, what it's always been.
Yeah,
so it's not like it's traditional college basketball and guys are staying like they used to, and they're staying 4 years, and it's like, hey, we got real college basketball back, and you're building programs, and guys aren't going to the pros. No, they're staying because of the millions of dollars being offered, and you have guys playing who are older. They're not really college age players. They're technically in college, but they're really not college age players in the traditional sense. So you've just changed the whole thing. So again, the people who defend this is, oh, well, look at how great the Final Four is, but it's at what cost? There needs to be a cost benefit analysis. And to me, you've destroyed college sports. So you got a really good Final Four last night, but look at everything that you've lost.
Yeah, I do think that too, but I think the old people, like the older college basketball players in the game, I'm not really like going crazy on that. I'm just saying about the changing of teams. If this old player goes from Dayton to Florida to Wisconsin, just for example, okay. But players like, for example, we're going to talk about Knicks later, Jalen Brunson, who stayed at Villanova for about 4 years. That's completely fine. You're building a program there, and he stayed there because he wants to win at Villanova, and because he just keeps wanting to play. I mean, you see a lot of these players, Josh Hart. These guys wanted to play at Villanova because they wanted to play there and they wanted to win. They didn't go, and Jalen Brunson could easily, nowadays, he could easily move to Florida. Like, these guys are staying.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's the player movement. So it's like, okay, they're making this money, but if they weren't able to transfer freely, then they make the money and they're staying at a particular school. And if you transfer, there's a penalty for transferring. So that would make it better. Still with the money, it's tougher for the smaller schools and the smaller conferences to compete. But okay, like, I'm not against these guys making money. I thought for years they should be able to make money in some way. This is not the best way to do it. but again, you fundamentally changed college sports. It's not what college
Well,
sports are
people are
supposed
staying
to
for the
be.
money. That's what the thing is. People are staying in college basketball for the money, not to win. Like the winning in college
Yeah, so they're
basketball.
just hired guns. So it's like, okay, you got a very well played Final Four, played at a high level. You want to say it's some of the best teams of all time, talent wise. Okay, but at what cost? The people who saying that, they're just looking at one part of it. They're looking at one night that they got very good basketball in the Final Four, but you've ruined so much. And I'll tell you another thing, Jack. I was never for the one and done rule. I
Yeah,
was never for that. To me, if a guy is good enough to go to the NBA out of high school, let him go. Like, why not have Kobe Bryant? Why not have LeBron James? Like, I don't think everybody has to go to college and stay there for 4 years. Like, I don't like the one and done rule, but I want it to be college basketball, though. I want it to be where you're building a program, and I want it to be primarily about those 4-year guys. And then, yes, you're going to have the guys come along that stay for a year or two, maybe 3. Okay, you're going to have those guys. But I want it to be still where you're building programs and you can't just transfer freely and there's a penalty for transferring. The money's in it now. Okay. But you should be able to do something about the free transfers and the transfer portal going on during March Madness, which is really hurting the tournament. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The portal's open during the NCAA tournament. Then you couple in the coaches moving, and it overshadows the tournament. So you've really ruined the tournament. But okay, you got a really good night of basketball last night. It's one night.
yeah. I just feel like people are staying because of the money, not because I feel like college basketball is always a thing. Like you want to win. That's the kind of the like people always look back. Even if they make the NBA, like listen to an NBA player talk about their podcast, even look at the NBA, whatever. But they're always thinking about we could have won this like I didn't win the college basketball championship, but I really wanted to win that. People don't care about that anymore. I mean, they do care, but like they aren't looking
I mean,
back, being like,
there's some that do, but like I don't know. I have no idea. I can't read the guy's
dang it,
mind.
I could have
How
won.
much does Cooper Flag care that Duke lost? Like he
Because
cares because
he's going to
he
Utah. He's
lost,
going to
and
Utah in the next few
I'll give him the
months.
benefit that he cares about his teammates. And yeah, I don't know the guy, but okay, he cares about his teammates. He cares that the team lost. He cares that he came up short in the game. Although I mean, he played a really good game, but he came up short at the end. So there's that disappointment that he clearly has, and it's not his fault. I'm not blaming him, but how much is he invested in Duke University? I don't know. Maybe he's greatly invested. I don't have any idea. I don't know him, but just given the situation, these guys don't care about their university the way that guys used to, and I don't blame them because that's a system that's come about. They're not invested in the program. So again, I don't know how much Cooper Flag cares about Duke and is invested in Duke, but if he's not that invested and it doesn't mean much to him, I don't blame him.
It feels like players on contract years every single year because players have choices. And for example, did Juan Soto really care about the Yankees?
Doesn't give a
No, it was
rat's
a
ass
1
about
year.
the Yankees, and he doesn't care about the Mets either. You think he cares about the Mets? I mean, you hope he
No,
does. I don't think he does. I mean, if he went to the Red Sox, I say, this guy doesn't care about the Red Sox. Like he's with the team because they gave him the most money.
no, I just think that it's like a 1 year thing. If he, well, and let's relax with that stuff. But 1 year thing, I think that people have choices with about do you want to go? Do you want to leave or go to the draft? Or do you want to stay or do you want to move on and go to Florida or Dayton or somewhere else? They have choices every single year. I like that players have choices, but how much do you have to have every year? And it puts the coaches in a spot too.
It gives the players way too much leverage. There has to be a balance. This has been the talk in pro sports for a long time. How much power should the owners have? How much power should the players have? And I would say over time, the way it's gone, I don't know if evolves the right word, but the way it's progressed over time, in Major League Baseball, I think the players have too much power. I think it needs to shift more of a balance towards the owners, in their negotiations. The players are too empowered. There was a time where the players didn't have enough power, but then it went the other way. So I think it has to come back, to some sort of balance. But in the NFL, the owners have always been more empowered. And that's been the consensus. So, it needs to shift in that direction. And then, the other sports, NBA is more towards the players, I think. But you need that balance. So in college basketball now, it's not a negotiation between owners and a players union, but it's kind of the same dynamic. It's a similar dynamic. And I think the players are way too empowered now. But I don't blame the players. That's the system that's come about. And I don't have any hope the system's going to get better. I think it's just going to get worse. I mean, I hope it gets better, but I don't see any signs that it will get better. So again, the people that want to defend this and say, oh, you got these people who just complain and they never want to evolve and change, and they're citing last night's Final Fours. Okay, great. You got a very well played Final Four, but at what cost? How did you bring that about?
Well, I think because
again, that Houston team, like how much of a college team is Houston? Like they're an older team. Like that's again, like you got one night of very good basketball, but look what you had to do, and look what you threw away, and look what you did damage to in order to get that.
Well, I think that the journey is what regular college fans look at. The journey of like, how did these teams get there? It's like Duke just blew out 3 teams. Like the journey wasn't really that great. There's no storyline going up to the Final Four for them. Okay, they're this great team, but where's the storyline going up to it? There was no storyline for Houston. They went through and they just basically push teams out of the way. That's what all these teams are doing. We're just like people want to look at the journey. That's what people really look at sometimes. Is how'd you get there, and how did Florida really get there? How did Duke really get there? I mean,
do you know at the end of the tournament, the night of the national championship game, the end of the game, CBS post game, they play the video and they play the song. So it's the video, the highlights of the tournament. They play the song "One Shining Moment." You know about that? Okay, so they've been doing that for a long time. There's a song, it's a very like sentimental, emotional song, one shining moment, and it's a song for the NCAA tournament. So then they play the highlights of the tournament through the tournament, and you see the big moments and the one shining moments that teams and players have. Buzzer beater, upset. This year, for one shining moment, that video, like, what is it going to be?
Cooper Flag dunking on a Baylor player while up by 30 points.
Yeah, it's like what I mean. You're gonna have the Maryland shot, Queen. That'll definitely be in there. That buzzer beater's exciting, but like, where's the story? Where's that feel good story?
Well, that shining moment that got Duke there. Like it feels like they're. I don't want to say they didn't work to get there, but I feel like there wasn't work to get. Like at the same time, there wasn't work to get there. Like it was like a Baylor team.
Well, and they played in the ACC that's very down. And look, Duke's obviously really good, but yeah, their journey there, it's like, all right, they ran through the ACC that was weak. They ran through a weak East region, and they play last night, and they collapse. I mean, give credit to Houston, but Duke, there was a collapse involved there. I mean, how is it not when you're up 14 points with 9 minutes left and then 9 points? Like you gave the game away. You choked the game away. I don't know how else to say that. So maybe they weren't prepared for the moment. Maybe because they breezed through the whole season. When they got
that's what I'm thinking.
Down to the Final Four, they were not prepared to handle the situation. Where Houston was in the Big 12, they had a tougher road to get there, and maybe that made. I think it did make a difference down the stretch in that game.
Well, I think for a team that keeps punching back, keeps like just like punching back at them, I don't think they've seen a team like that this year. So that was big going into this Final Four. It's a team that just keep punching back at you and just didn't fall down.
Yeah, Duke went through a weak ACC. So you really think about that, it's like, they finally met a team that's going to come at them hard, like really give them a challenge.
Yeah.
They melted in epic fashion. I love it because I can't stand Duke. Like, I just love it. I can spend the whole show celebrating, but just sticking to the objective part of this, analyzing it, they weren't prepared for the moment.
Yeah, they weren't prepared for it because they haven't went through this kind of resiliency to get a win. Like it's been all like fun and dandy to get a win. And it's not. It's not supposed to be that way in the March Madness. It's supposed to be. It's also supposed to be a team punching back, punching back, punching back. Once Duke came in that first punch against Baylor, Arizona, it was done. No one was doing anything. So once they figured out a team that could actually absorb that punch and fight to the final end, they were crushed. There was nothing Duke could do.
Yeah, I mean, it's still stunning. It's incredibly stunning. But you think about that aspect of it, it's like, oh, well, Duke finally went up against a team that really was going to take it to them. And they did what they needed to do for most of the game, but then they could not close it out. And the pressure clearly got to them. Like, of course it did. I mean, you don't lose without the pressure. You don't lose like that without pressure getting to you.
Yeah, in the final.
You certainly don't lose like that without lack of execution. I mean, you could tangibly see the lack of execution. You don't know what's going inside a person, but you could just see it. You can see the pressure got to them. And coaching's always involved too. Like, I'm not going to overly criticize John Shire. I mean, he's a good enough coach, and he's doing a very good job with Duke. I mean, he's got all the resources in the world. He should be doing a very good job. But okay, fine. He's a good coach. He's doing a good job with the program. But I mean, they should have won a national championship this year. They fell short. I mean, they fell very short. Not good enough for them to just get to the Final Four with their talent. I mean, this is an epic loss and it's something that's going to really sting Duke for a while.
Yeah.
I sound very upset about that.
So I want to get into the Major League Baseball and this bat that has really gone along. I think
real quick before, like, just real quick, who do you think's going to win the championship tomorrow night?
Houston. It's just a bad matchup for Florida. Very bad matchup. Houston.
I wonder how much last night's game is going to take out of Houston.
Yeah.
Then they played the second game last night. Like, how much is that going to affect them Monday night? But I'll go with Houston. I'm going to go with them grinding it out and getting it done. I think Kelvin Sampson's going to. I think Sampson too. Him coaching against that younger coach. I know that people want to promote him as like this genius young coach, but I'll go with the older veteran coach over the other guy.
Walter Clayton Jr. is very good, but I think that they really shut down an offense. I think they shut the water off. Not completely shut them down, but I think they shut the water off enough for Houston to kind of hang in and kind of grit their way out a win. Hopefully we get a good national championship, though.
I think it should be. I think it'll be very close. I mean, I think you're going to get a quality game. Again, you're getting you're getting very high quality games at the end here. Because you have these super teams. So if that's the way people want it, then fine. You lose out on a lot of other stuff that's been great about college basketball for a long time. But okay, you should have a really good championship tomorrow. So we both agree Houston winning it all down the Nets tomorrow in San Antonio. So go to baseball, Jack.
So, I mean, I think we talked about how Nestor Cortez and he was throwing some things up the middle that were insane, and they just kept hitting it out. The Yankees just kept hitting it out of the park. Now, they were using these bats that kind of have a fat part in the where you're supposed to hit it.
And the sweet spot.
Sweet spot, barrel.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of opinion about that?
I really don't like it. To me, it's not a baseball bat. A baseball bat has a certain shape, and you get the people say, oh, well, you got to evolve and adapt, and technology changes, equipment changes, but it's not a baseball bat. And there's the analytics part of it. Like, admittedly, I'm not totally against analytics, but I really don't like the analytics community, not people individually, but I don't like the arrogance and like analytics is changing everything and we got to throw away the way things have been done. And, all these older people who, are resistant to change and analytics is the future and all this. And then the guy who creates the bat is a guy from MIT, did it based on analytics. And it's like, all right, I'm already against this. But then I say, you know what? Let's take the emotion out of it. Let's take my own personal rooting interest out of it and just look at it in an analytical sense. This is what I don't like. It's an easy way out for the hitters. So
yeah,
what I read was with some of these players, like Anthony Volpe was one that's mentioned. Some of the players in the Yankees, the Yankees were first to use it. But there's some guys around baseball that are using it. From what I've heard, it's not many guys using it. I don't know if
I
this
know
thing's going to
Lindor's
take
using
off.
it.
Lindor is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I read with, let's say, a guy like Volpe was Volpe
Weak contact.
he would get more hits off the label of the bat, so closer to the handle, right, to the knob, right, more off the label of the bat, more hits off the label than he would on the barrel, on the traditional sweet spot. So then it's like, okay, we're going to create a bat where the barrel, where the sweet spot is on the label.
What happens if you just got better?
Right. Why don't you just work on hitting the ball off the traditional barrel of a baseball bat? That's what I don't like. It's trying to create an easy way out for the hitters where they should be making adjustments.
Can't lift the ball.
What's that?
Yeah. Volpe couldn't lift the ball all last season at all, and now we just somehow can lift the ball. I don't. But you know what? Guy should learn in the offseason about how to use the barrel of the bat and how to take that ball and pull it and get it over the fence.
See, to me, the discussion and the debate is larger than sports. It's a societal debate. It's technology makes things more convenient, makes things more comfortable, so we live more convenient and more comfortable lives than people ever have. And you could say on surface, it's a good thing. And there's a lot of advantages to the comfort and convenience, all the accessories we have, the way we live in the modern world and what technology has done. But when we're too comfortable and things are too convenient, we don't grow. We don't face adversity. We don't have to adapt and change. It's just, things become easier and more comfortable through technology and through those type of advances. So with the bat, it's okay. Let's create a new bat to make it easier for the hitter and put the sweet spot on the label because that's where the hitters are getting more hits. To me, it's the opposite. It's let's learn how to more consistently hit the ball off the actual barrel of an actual baseball bat. Because if you could use the torpedo bat, hitters, because they say, hitters that like to extend their hands. So with the regular baseball bat, if you like to extend your hands, well, then you're going to stand further from the plate because if you're too close, then you're going to get jammed. You're going to hit the ball more off the handle instead of off the barrel. So you move off the plate so you could barrel the ball up. But then the downside of that is the pitchers will be able to expose you more on the outside corner because your bat can't cover the outside corner as well, if at all. But now with this torpedo bat, the hitters got the barrel, the sweet spot closer to them. So if there's someone who extends their hands, they could stay closer to the plate and not get jammed. So now they're closer to the plate. They're hitting the ball off this new sweet spot, and they're able to cover more of the plate because they're closer to the plate. So it's making it tougher for the pitchers. It's making it easier for the hitters, not because the hitters are adjusting and correcting things and improving through hard work and different types of adjustments. No, it's a new bat to make it easier for them. And then you're making it harder for the pitchers. And the pitchers are like, well, wait a minute. Like, you're just making it easier for the hitters because they're not willing or able to make adjustments. Like, that's what I really don't like about it. It's not so much, okay, new technology has come about. Like, I don't like the idea of these bats. I think it's too radical. I think it's fundamentally changing what a baseball bat should be. There's been advancements in bats and equipment over time. I'm fine with that. Honestly, like, I don't like aluminum bats, which are used in college and high school and lower than that. Like, I don't like that. I think baseball should be wood bat. I think they should have never went to that. But okay, that's what it is. But this thing to me with the torpedo bat is just a radical, fundamental change to the baseball bat.
Yeah, it is because you have players like Ben Rice, who has never. Ben Rice had a 3-home run game, I think a year ago.
I was at that game against the Red Sox.
What?
I was at that game.
Oh, I forgot it was even against the Red Sox.
In Yankee Stadium.
I do, but he has never really been that guy to hit home runs. Or Josh Chisholm kind of didn't have the best year last year. He had a good period, but lifting the ball like this, just it felt like they didn't do any work. It just felt like now Volpe can somehow hit a ball like, and they're also gonna get pitches that are good and that are nice to hit.
Well, what bothers me, Jack, is
Yeah,
the people that say, "Oh, you need, it's evolving." But how is it evolving? You came up with a new bat. I don't necessarily say that's an evolution. It's a new type of bat, which to me is not a baseball bat. So I don't look at that as evolving. But if you want to say that's evolving, the technology is evolving. Hitters aren't evolving. To me, hitters are devolving because you're making it easier on them. Like, again, that's the problem with our society, and we're all a part of it, myself included, my own life, how comfortable and convenient our lives are. We don't have to face adversity like people did all throughout history. Like, things are just easier and easier, but that hurts us in terms of challenging ourselves, facing adversity, and growing and reaching new heights. So these hitters, instead of having to actually become better hitters, they're just using a new bat to make it easier on themselves. So yeah, they're getting more production, they're hitting more home runs, their stats go up, but it's not through anything they did. It's just they got a new piece of lumber to use. I can't stand that. But I'll tell you what I love. I love Aaron Judge saying, well,
I don't need it.
the old bat, the real baseball bat, he didn't say it that way. I'm saying it. The real traditional baseball bat has worked for me, so I don't see a reason to make a change. Because
Yeah,
Aaron Judge is the best in the world, granted, but
do better than all of them.
he works his rear end off all the time to consistently barrel the ball up. So that's what you got to do. Now, maybe guys don't have the talent Judge had, but all these guys are really talented. Obviously, they're major league players. So put the work in and make the adjustments to barrel the darn ball up.
Yeah,
Don't look for the easy way out.
yeah. I mean, it's not fair because you have players like Anthony Volpe that isn't a hitter that can hit the ball like 1,000 feet and just like go over a Yankee Stadium. Now we can just do that with ease. I don't understand that because it's unfair. It's not even like an evolution. It's just unfair. The pitchers can't do anything about it because you would throw easier pitches to Anthony Volpe than you would to for example Aaron Judge. You're still going to throw him easy pitches, sometimes pitches to hit because they're Anthony Volpe and Ben Rice. They're not Aaron Judge, but they're going to take that ball and they're going to hit that to the next county. So it's not fair for the pitcher. I mean, for the pitchers. Because if
Yeah,
you
if I were a pitcher, I'd be ticked, and I think rightfully so. It's like you're just making it easier for
you
them by
can't if
giving
you
them.
bear,
You're,
yeah,
you're giving them. To me, it's a new piece of equipment. I don't look at it as it's just a change in the baseball bat. It's not a baseball bat. That's not where the barrel is supposed to be in a baseball bat. And also,
yeah,
again, it's the convenience. It's just making things easier on us, but it's not making us better. It's not pushing people to new heights. It's like AI. There's good use for AI. I think we should use AI, but we need to use it responsibly. But if we're just using like in school, when kids use it to cut corners and let's be honest, cheat and plagiarize, you're not learning anything. You're not retaining information. You're not retaining knowledge. You're not developing understanding. So you're just taking the easy way out. It's convenient and it's comfortable, so you can hand in the assignment, but you're not actually learning. You're not evolving as a person.
yeah. I think that players should if Volpe came in and he was like, I hate to use him as an example, but it's just very easy for me. Shout out him. He's a guy from Jersey. But when he can barrel the ball, if he comes in and he's like, you know what, I'm a new guy. I could hit the ball, out of Yankee Stadium whenever I want to because I found a new way to barrel the ball on my own bat that I've been using for a long time, that I use up the minor leagues. If if he comes into the season and he can barrel the ball with with his normal bat, completely fine. Then you actually improved. But this is just like not fair to even him or anybody. You're just not improving. Where's the improvement?
Well, you know what? If you're going to do this, though, to make it easier on the hitters, then you got to counter with something that makes it easier on the pitchers. I don't want any of it. I want keep the regular bat.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make it easier on the hitters now with this, and somebody says, "Oh, well, you need more offense in the game. You need," but wait a minute. How about the hitters adjust? That's the whole problem, is the way they approach hitting.
Yeah, people are just trying to swing
That's
for the
why.
fences.
And they'll say, "Oh, it's because the pitchers are better than ever, they're stronger than ever, they throw harder than ever." Meanwhile, these pitchers are throwing harder than ever, they're getting hurt more than ever because they're emptying the tank all the time. That's enough. So like it all connects, but it's all because it's too tough to hit these modern pitchers. No, how about you change your freaking approach? Your
Yeah, what about
approach is the problem. You're told, these guys are taught from a young age now, lift the ball instead of hit line drives, and they're striking out all the time. And then they wonder why they strike out all the time. They wonder why they don't barrel the ball up consistently. And it's, oh, well, let's change the bat. Let's change the technology. All right,
Yeah,
so if you're going to change the bat, you know what? Raise the seams on the ball to help the pitchers.
yeah, I just think that that players that even nowadays that take more walks, like hit the ball on a line drive and get in the hole, they're more successful than players just going for home runs every single time and waiting for that pitcher to make a mistake. He's not going to control 100 every single time. What about you take your walk, learn the strike zone? Like there's players like, I know we're bringing up Juan Soto again. He can really control the strike zone. That is why he's one of the best hitters in baseball. Players could be like, wow, look at him. He knows the strike zone. What about we understand the strike zone a little bit more and take more walks and also drive the ball in the hole when we can and not go for home runs every single time, because that's not going to happen. You're not going to get a mistake pitch every single time.
Yeah, it's approach. Look, I get it that the pitchers throw harder than ever, but these hitters are bigger, stronger than ever. So it's like, okay, the pitchers, with modern advancements in training and all that, they're stronger. They're throwing harder. They're getting more spin on the ball. Okay, but the hitters are, they're evolving too in terms of their strength and their abilities. So it's, you got to make adjustments in the way you approach hitting. And I think pitchers have to make adjustments in the way they approach pitching. I don't like how it's just, throwing your hardest all the time and, maximizing spin rate. I mean, look, there's a place for spin and it's harder to hit the ball when there's spin. Like, okay, fine. Like, you don't have to be a genius to understand that. And velocity makes it harder to hit the ball, but there's an art to pitching. To me, you just rearing back and throwing and all the torque it takes from spinning the ball, like you're going to get hurt. That's why these guys get hurt. And then they're blaming the pitch clock for the reason why they get hurt. Like, that's BS. It's just such manipulation. But I mean, we could go on and on, Jack. Like, to me, it's like we talk about college basketball. All that's wrong with that. I could go on about all that I think is wrong with baseball. The modern way of doing things, it's too much revolutionizing. There should be change. There should be evolving. You always need that. You don't want to stay stagnant. You don't want to stay stuck in ways. You don't want to look back and say, oh, we should go back to the 1950s, the way baseball was. No, like, we are where we are right now, but there's certain fundamentals about the game that shouldn't change. You keep those fundamentals, and then you make changes that are good changes that'll help the game grow. But to me, creating this torpedo bat does not make baseball better, and it doesn't produce better hitters. It just makes it easier for hitters.
It just makes it easier for hitters, and it's just not improving anybody. It's just people that are, the best hitters in the world that make the most money control the strike zone, and they don't go for home runs every single time at bat. And it's going to happen because people are making changes. The players that make changes always get the most money and always are the most successful. So until other players realize that, we'll be stuck in the same ways. Look at Juan Soto, biggest contract in American sports history. I mean, look at how he controls the strike zone. People are making changes. People are getting more successful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the Knicks and how they have really been successful in the last few games. Without Jalen Brunson, he goes out with a sprained ankle, which looked bad. I think it was a high ankle or even just a regular ankle sprain. He's back today, so good for him. He's back in the lineup. But the Knicks have really been successful without him. They won games they should have won. They should win, of course. I think they should still be winning games, but it's been really good. It's been really telltale sign of the way they have buckled down defensively. The way they've been really taking down some teams they should be beating. I mean, they beat the 76ers by 14 points. These are teams they should be beating. And then also they were competitive with the Cavs till they took away the game. They also beat the Hawks by 14. They kind of controlled that game the whole entire way. They're a team that is very together, and adding a superstar in that lineup is very good for them. And also, OG Anunoby, a guy got signed for $42 million this offseason, re-signed with the Knicks. He's been amazing. Kind of made his game even better with the way he's been taking the ball off the dribble and the way he's been shooting the ball, which of course we always know he can shoot the ball very well. But the way he's been able to drive in the paint, he's been scoring. I mean, let's go down the line. I mean, 20 points for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. Last 9 or 10 games, he's been scoring 20 points straight. And that's huge for a player like OG Anunoby that you know is going to give it to you defensively every single night with his steals, his rebounds, his blocks, and just the way he can not lock down the best player on the opposing team. It's great. And also, I think the biggest thing is they're going to have to, when Jalen Brunson comes back, he comes back tonight, they're going to have to incorporate OG Anunoby into the way he's been playing the last few games, even with their superstar back. They're going to have to give him some on-ball reps. They're not going to stick him in the corner. They shouldn't stick him in the corner because they know what this guy can bring offensively now with Jalen Brunson out. So I hope that these wings are not sitting in the corner. I hope that they're really taking some possessions on and taking it by themselves. Of course, you don't want them to take every single possession with the ball in their hands because you do have Jalen Brunson at the end of the day. But you want these guys to have the ball in their hands at least sometime in the game because they have shown they can be very efficient with the ball in their hands.
So, Knicks play the Suns tonight. What are you expecting out of Brunson?
I'm expecting him to table set, and I'm expecting him to get his 20 points. So, but I don't really. I mean, it's hard to know coming off an ankle sprain. I just want to be as ready as he possibly can for the playoffs. I think is that's table setting for OG. I know Mikal Bridges getting them ready for the playoffs, and then that could be a thing. Getting Cat ready for the playoffs. Those type players. I think him being that table setter for them. I think that would be kind of the greatest thing for him right now because we know what he can score. Like every NBA team knows that they can score, but he just needs a table set right now for them and get them ready for the playoffs.
What did you make of the Knicks' loss to the Cavs a few days ago? What did you take from that game?
That they are a team that still has some holes in them, and that they, even though they had a great game, OG Anunoby in the first half was absolutely looked like the next coming of the like LeBron, but he was scoring at high levels, and they were playing good basketball. I think everybody was playing on a string defensively, everybody was playing on a string offensively, and I think they all were playing together, but I think it kind of they kind of need somebody to tide the game down that fourth quarter, and they didn't have it. Which I mean, granted, Jalen Brunson was out, so I'm kind of making a thing that he should have been. If he would have played, the Knicks would have had a better shot in this game. Of course, they would. They need to play like it tied them down, get themselves in the sets, and they were just like really, really. They got exposed in the fourth quarter. The Cavs really ran on them. There's nothing they could do. They got beaten transition. The Cavs were just the better team at the end of the day, and they kind of pulled away at the end. But it was a kind of encouraging performance. I don't know, encouraging. They lost by 20, but I think encouraging enough. I mean, we kind of expected the loss. I think every Knicks fan kind of expected the loss.
Yeah, every time I talk about the Knicks, the question I always think is, has the needle moved since the last time we talked? Like, do you feel any better about their chances?
Well, if OG Anunoby continues to play like this in the playoffs with this defense, if this guy can be, there's a lot of comparisons to him to Kawhi Leonard. I don't like that comparing him to a superstar player, but if he can really, I mean, there's some untapped potential there. There definitely is at the age of 27, 28. There's some untapped potential, in my opinion. I think there's some because the way he's been able to play. I think if the Knicks can get OG Anunoby to breakout type player come playoff time, Jalen Brunson being Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns being a dominant big man down low, and can also stretch the floor out. There's a lot of stuff that can happen for them. They can make a deep, but I think that it's a lot of stuff that need to happen. Still, I think we're still getting this place where there's a lot of stuff that need to happen, and also Boston, even with a lot of stuff that can happen, Boston can still just rout them in like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
But I
Again,
think
with the Knicks, yeah.
But I think we're gonna see a lot. We're still gonna. I think we're still gonna see a lot. I think we're still gonna see. I think we're. I think if OJ Anunoby can keep this up, and I think we'll see. We'll see a lot of stuff out of them. I think we'll see if they want to. If they want to do some changes this off season, whatever they want to do. I think. I think they're gonna come in. I think they want to compete. I think they're gonna compete, and I think that Knicks could be poised for. I don't know. Knicks could be poised for a playoff run. They could be if they can get their wings in order. But I think this team is kind of redundant. But I think that if they can get OJ Anunoby untapped potential, get himself moving. I mean, 20 points in the last 9 games is nothing to snark at. This is a player that's been consistently 20 points for the last 9 games. And that's huge come playoff time. So I think having another player that can have 20 points, I think can really help this Knicks team. I think as simple as that, having a player that can also put up another player besides Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns that can put up 20 points consistently. That's a big thing for the Knicks.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to watch them. I mean, once the playoffs come, and hopefully they breeze through the first round and win it in 4 or 5, get the job done. And then it's going to be about playing Boston and see what they could do and see if they could play a really competitive series. So it's very important for the progression of the Knicks. Again, I don't expect them. I don't think anybody expects them to win a championship this year or go to the NBA Finals or even get past the second round because they're playing Boston. But like you said last week, I mean, there's been bigger upsets in NBA history, so it's not impossible. But you really want to see that next step for the Knicks where they could really go toe to toe with the Celtics in a playoff series. So it's it's going to be really important that they're able to do that, and it'll if they lose the series, at least it's like, hey, you could see the light at the end of the tunnel where they're working their way towards a championship.
Yeah, I think there's going to be. I think they have to work their way. It's going to be a thing where they can bring that energy. I think if they do bring a type of energy where they are kind of in there, and I think if they can convince Leon Rose to keep this team together, that would be very good. I think that's their goal, is to convince their GM to keep this team together, and if they can do that, that's going to be so. I think it's pushing the 6 or 7 games, you say. I think that's kind of the goal for this Knicks team.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a frustrating situation in a way because they got Boston in their way and you got Cleveland with the season they're having, but at the same time, the Knicks are back. The Knicks are very good. They're gonna win 50 games again. I mean, what are they right now? 48 and 29. So they're on the way to another 50-win season. I mean, it had been a long time, and the Knicks really struggled for much of 2 decades. It was a dark time for the New York Knicks. It's been a long time since the championship, as we know, winning 1 in 73. And, so for Knicks fans, I mean, it's exciting. The Garden's buzzing and, they're in the playoffs again. And, again, another 50-win season. But it's important that they could play a very competitive series with Boston. And it's going to be very, very fascinating, exciting, and interesting to watch. So from that perspective, I mean, it's good. The Garden, there's going to be playoff basketball there.
I'm going to round 1 game 1 and round 2 game 1, so I cannot wait.
Nice.
It's gonna be a good playoff. It's gonna be a good playoff.
Yeah, it's exciting again like that. As a fan, it's exciting. I mean, the Knicks are back. I mean, they're not the best team in the NBA, and they're not elite yet, but they're very good. They're knocking on that door. So you got to be thrilled with the fact that the Knicks are very good and they're not stuck the way they were for a lot of the last 2 decades, before the last few years, where they've really grown and built the team and are working towards that championship. So hopefully it's coming soon. It's definitely possible. We'll see how things progress. But overall, the Knicks are in a good spot.
Yeah, Knicks are in a good spot.
Much better spot than the team that plays in Madison Square Garden on the rink, on the ice. The Rangers not looking good. We haven't really talked any hockey on this show, but the Rangers lost to the Devils yesterday 4-0, and they've got trounced by the Devils 3 times this year. and the Rangers are very much on the outside looking in for the playoffs. So it does not look good for them. It's been a rough
Sad for
season.
them.
So, you
Yeah.
can look at it that way. Like, hey, the Knicks, they share
Knicks
the
are the
garment
talk
with
of
the
the town.
Rangers.
Knicks are the
What's
talk
that?
of the town. And they have and they're going to get their – everybody's going to be excited. I think no matter what this journey was going into the playoffs, maybe people were really, disgusted about how the Knicks play defense. But I think coming down the playoffs, everybody will come together. It's new kind of season. I think we've talked about the playoffs as a new kind of season, part of the season where everyone can relax. It's a new season, 0-0. Anything can happen, I guess. I mean, you still look at the great team as a great team, but you get in the playoffs, everybody's excited, and town's buzzing. So I think it's a good thing for them getting the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it should be exciting. Like, I don't think the focus should be, oh, well, they're not ready to win a championship, and they're not going to beat Boston, they're not going to beat Cleveland. Yeah, no, like, just, it's good to be a fan, right? And like, the Knicks are in a good spot. They're very competitive. They're right there. They're in the playoffs. They're the 3 seed in the East. They should get through the first round, and then, hey, let's go play Boston, see what we can do, and go and play a very competitive series. Really take it to them. You never know. It's probably not going to happen where they pull off a big upset, but just go
Bigger
play
upsets
toe to
happen,
toe
though.
with
I
the
think
Celtics and show that you've gone to that next step, and then keep going with it. So again, the Knicks overall are in a good spot. It's tough in the NBA. Usually there's super teams and dynasties have been part of NBA history, so it's tough to break through. But the Knicks have a chance. They didn't have a chance for a long time. They have a chance, so that's a very good thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be everyone's gonna be it's gonna be a very happy time to see the Knicks get in the playoffs, and they're gonna be very much favored in the first round, which is a big thing. And I don't think they were that favored last year, but they'll be definitely favored in the first round this year. To beat hopefully your least favorite coach, Doc Rivers, and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh,
I don't
they're
know if
going
they'll
to
play them or they'll play Detroit, or I'm very scared of Detroit. I think maybe we'll save another episode for who do I want to play, or should we do that now because it might be set in stone. I think what I want to play is I really do not want to play Detroit, even if they're inexperienced. I think that their athleticism could definitely cause Nick some trouble. Um, um, I think I don't. I mean, I want to play Indiana for the sake that I'm a fan. I want to beat them because they beat us last year, and they're a team that kind of celebrated their win, even though a lot of players for the Knicks were out and the Knicks were gutted. I think that's a team that I kind of want to beat, and I think we can. But I'd rather see Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's a team, especially with them in the murkiness of Damian Lillard and everything. Could he be healthy? Even if he is healthy, and the Knicks are matched up better. But you also, if an injury like that is happening, it gives you an even better chance to beat them. And I think the Knicks are in a very good spot against them. They could stick OG Anunoby, as we talked about, on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Very good matchup with them. They also Bucks have no one ever that can guard Jalen Brunson offensively. And that's the biggest thing about when you play the Knicks. Do you have a player that can guard Jalen Brunson? I think the Milwaukee Bucks have no answer for one of the best guards in the league. And that is why I think the Knicks could definitely handily beat the Bucks in 4 or 5.
Matchups definitely matter, but the Knicks should win handily in the first round. They should definitely win in the first round, and they should win convincingly no matter who they're playing. I mean, matchups definitely matter. They always do. But the situation the Knicks are in, they should advance out of the first round, play very well in the first round, and win it fairly easily. I mean, if they're going deep into the first round, a tough 6 or a 7-game series, that would be a disappointment. They need to
They shouldn't do what last year happened. Last
year was understandable because that was a grind of a series.
Yeah.
It was Philadelphia.
76ers competed. Yeah.
The Knicks did a good job in that first round. But this year, if it goes past 5, I think that's a disappointment.
So right now they're looking to play Detroit. But yeah, I mean, the Bucks have 43 wins as well, and same with them. So I think that the Pacers are kind of locked up at number 4. So right now, I think locked up is Cavs. I know it's not officially, probably won't be officially, but Cavs, Boston, New York, Indiana, and then it's either for 5 and 6. It's a really big toss-up between Milwaukee or Detroit. Now, I think it's always a good talk about who do you want to play. I think that's always good. I think you want to play. You kind of want to beat both, but I think handle. I think the Knicks beat both teams, but I think the Knicks beat the Bucks more handily, and I think that's what the Knicks need to do, especially to beat Boston, have a chance to beat Boston. They definitely need first round to be kind of easy, snap quick, easy, so
Yeah,
they
well,
can get
that's
healthy.
important. You don't want to have a grind of a first round series because that's going to affect you in the second round.
And the Pistons are a young team. They're inexperienced, which could be a good thing. They could just not know anything. Could go in there with and grind Knicks out and really give the Knicks a 6 to 7 game series. But I think the Knicks beat both teams. I think the Knicks beat both teams. I don't know about handily about the Pistons because I'm a big believer in them. Actually, I'm a really big believer in what they've been able to build. So I think they're a very good organization that have been not a very good organization. Whoa, but I think they're a very good team that has been able to build something this year for them.
Yeah, I mean they were a really good organization, but they're back now. I mean
Yeah,
they've made a huge turnaround. They won. I don't know what it was, 15
last year they
games
were two and
last year.
26. Last year they were 2 and
Yeah, so
26.
they've come a long way in a
Yeah,
short amount of time. But for the Knicks need to take care of business in the first round. They need to take care of home court. They need to be up 2-0 in the first round. You do not want to be 1-1 and forget about 0-2. But you don't want to be 1-1. I mean, you take care of business at the Garden, be up 2-0, and then you go on the road. If you split on the road, okay, you come back to the Garden and win in 5. That's what the Knicks have to do. You do not want the first round series going beyond 5 because then you have to grind it out. If you go to a 6 game, you're on the road. You could easily lose a
well, the
road
Knicks easily
game.
won that last.
And then you're looking at a 7 game series, and even if you win in 7 games, and look, I'm not trying to go off the rails in terms of worst case scenario, but if it's a grind of a first round series, that's really going to hurt the Knicks for the second round against Boston. So they have to take care of business and go no more than 5 in the first round,
Well, I
and
think
they should be
last
able
year
to do that regardless of the opponent.
Well, last year the Knicks had a big time chance to win in 5, which is why I'm like last season cannot happen where you have a chance to win in 5 and the team they're playing against absolutely demolished and you have some big time issues in the last few minutes of the game where you blow that game and now you're going to 6. That should not happen this year, especially with Boston on the horizon. No way that stuff should happen. You should be able to beat them in about 5 games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to play Milwaukee. I think that their team the Knicks should beat handily, even in 4. I think.
Yeah,
So
so it starts real soon. The regular season ends next Sunday. And then did the playoffs start midweek or they start the following weekend? I'm not sure. I'll Google it. Maybe you know offhand.
I play in tournament, and then I think the playoffs, and then
Oh, right. I forgot about right. So that's during the week, and then the first round will start April 19th. So April 19th is a Saturday. So the Knicks will either play April 19th or April 20th to open the first round.
so yeah, I'll be.
I forgot about the play-in. Yeah, that takes place during the week, and then first round again starts 13 days from now. So the Knicks will either have a home game at the Garden on the 19th or the 20th.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a big time game. Knicks can take care of business on the
I'll
19th.
bet you they'll put the Knicks on the 20th because it's Easter Sunday. So the NBA will want to, and then be on ESPN, ABC, I assume. I don't know if, probably like a Sunday afternoon. That's the ABC, ESPN game. So I would think that ABC, ESPN, the NBA will want the Knicks on Easter. That'll draw big ratings, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I can't wait to be there at the game. It's gonna be a big time. We'll see. We'll talk about more about the MLB as the season gets going. Season goes on, and then we'll talk. We'll also talk as next episode about the national championship. Does it? Is it a good game? We'll talk about that. And then we'll also let's talk about the Knicks as well. Next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about.
We got to talk about the Masters. The Masters is next weekend.
And I
I'm
guess
kidding.
golf. We'll talk a little bit about the Masters.
We don't do golf on this show, right? Unless you want to do golf. I mean,
no,
I'll pass.
Nah.
The Masters is great though. It's an awesome tournament. But we'll pass on spending time on golf unless something historic happens or something that's really worth talking about.
Yeah, we'll talk about everything around. We'll talk about stuff around sports, and then we'll get into the playoffs, and then that's big. So we'll see you next time.